The Ethereals are one of, if not the most loved classes in My Singing Monsters. They first appeared all the way back in 2012, and are still ongoing today, constantly expanding with new monsters, islands, and mechanics. So today we're going to go over the entire history of the Ethereal class from the very beginning, all the way up to 2026. Starting all the way back when the game first released in September of 2012, the only things in the game were the natural islands and the original natural monsters. At the time, nobody even knew an entirely different class of monsters would eventually appear. But then we fast forward to June of 2013, when we got our very first ethereal monster, Ghast, which released on Plant Island on June 14th and officially marked the debut of the ethereal class. Shortly after that, Rebro released on June 28th. Then, 2 months later, we only got one more ethereal, Grumpire, which released on August 19th. Finally, on September 19th, 2013, we got the update that truly started the Ethereals as a full class. This update introduced Geode, Humbug, and most importantly, Ethereal Island itself. It also added teleporting monsters in the Pocket Dimension, which completely changed how the game worked and introduced the idea that Ethereals were unstable monsters that existed outside normal reality. Then, occasionally, random double-element Ethereals would drop every once in a while, with some of these being Wisp, Voodoo, Socks, Kazillion, and Feng Prey. These monsters could only exist on Ethereal Island, as they were too unstable to go outside the Pocket Dimension, which also led to one of MSM's biggest theories at the time. Could triple-element Ethereals even exist? And then shortly after came the rare Ethereals, which were extremely hard to obtain, but they produced a great amount of shards. You would breed them the same way you'd breed the common counterparts, but these variants just had a lower chance of being obtained. Only a few of them would be available every few weeks, which would make them almost impossible to get. They also had these cool promotion images that I personally like a lot. Then finally, after around 6 to 7 years of almost nothing, the Ethereals started making a comeback with the introduction of the Epic Ethereals. The first one was Epic Ghast, which released on February 10th, 2021. Then came Epic Rebro on September 22nd, Epic Geode on April 13th, 2022, Epic Grumpire on July 20th, and finally Epic Humbug on February 15th, 2023. These were immediately considered some of the best epic variants in the entire game because of their incredible designs and unique aesthetics. And people were extremely excited to finally get ethereal content again after such a long time. Shortly after, we got even more epic ethereals, including Epic Wisp in mid-2023, followed by Epic Nebulob, Epic Socks, Epic Gelbilly, Epic Oraculale, Epic Voodoo, Epic Kazillion, Epic Bellowfish, Epic Dragon, and Epic Feng Prey throughout early 2025. By this point, it finally felt like the Ethereals were becoming important again after years of almost complete silence. Then, after countless theories, predictions, and fan-made concepts over the years, something massive finally happened. A brand new island called Ethereal Workshop released on October 11th, 2023 as the grand finale of Anniversary Month. Before the island officially released, a few YouTubers had secretly teased it by hiding workshop monsters inside videos featuring already existing monsters, which made the reveal even more exciting once people realized what had been happening. When Ethereal Workshop finally launched, the community immediately fell in love with it. The island introduced triple-element Ethereals, entirely new synthesis mechanics, a completely unique aesthetic, and one of the most impressive island songs the game had ever received. Even on release day, people were calling it one of the greatest islands ever made. And to this day, it's still considered one of the most loved islands in MSM history. The first wave of monsters released alongside the island consisted of Yurik, Meebkin, Gadzooks, Blairet, and Oglur. And these monsters were instantly praised for having some of the best sounds and designs in the entire game. They perfectly represented how much My Singing Monsters had evolved over the years, and immediately became some of the most iconic modern monsters in the franchise. After a bit of waiting, Wave 2 released on December 13th, 2023 alongside Festival of Yay. This update introduced the ability to upgrade the synthesizer, since the upcoming monsters would be too unstable to create otherwise. This wave added Flask, Nightbear, and Whale. And by this point, the amount of Ethereal Workshop predictions online had absolutely exploded. Nearly everyone in the community was making fan-made workshop monsters, prediction videos, or concepts for future waves, and many people considered this the peak of workshop hype. Then Wave 3 released on February 14th, 2024, alongside Season of Love, and introduced Vention and Piplash. This wave was received more negatively compared to the others, because some people felt the monsters were quieter and more minimal than expected, especially since Piplash only played during one part of the song. This was also when people realized every workshop wave had been releasing exactly 63 days apart. Then on April 17th, 2024 alongside Echoes of Eco, Wave 4 released and introduced Pentumbra and XRT. These two were extremely well received and quickly became fan favorites because of both their memorable designs and how much they contributed to the song. Around this point, however, the amount of prediction videos and fan concepts slowly started dying down because the island had already become more established. Then came what many people considered the beginning of the end for Ethereal Workshop. On June 18, 2024, BeMeebEth and Teeter Totter released, although both of their designs had unfortunately leaked online shortly before the update. We also got Gazed added to Composer Island that same day. Then finally, on July 17, 2024, alongside Summer Song, the final official Workshop wave released and introduced the Poison Quad, Oogity, alongside Epic Kazillion. At this point, everyone thought Ethereal Workshop was officially over because the monster handlers themselves directly stated that Oogity was the final Workshop wave. But then something unexpected happened. For the first time in over 4 years, the monster handlers hosted another Play Your Part event, this time entirely focused on Ethereal Workshop. People were confused because the Quint Ethereal still hadn't released yet, and some fans even started believing it might never happen at all. But then the Play Your Part video finally released, and there it was. The final ethereal monster, BeMeebEth. BeMeebEth released on September 4th, 2024, and officially completed Ethereal Workshop, finally giving players the long-awaited Quint Ethereal after years of speculation. Even now, some people still theorize that monsters like Monculus, the Dipsters, or even wubboxes could eventually come to Workshop someday. But for now, the island is considered complete. A few months after Ethereal Workshop ended, mysterious teasers for more ethereal content started appearing in early 2025. A strange website called dustypotential.ca suddenly appeared featuring the ethereal island background alongside a countdown timer. And people immediately started theorizing about what it could mean. Many believed it was teasing some kind of giant island featuring every ethereal monster together, but instead it introduced Plasma Islet, the first of Zeroa's ethereal islets, alongside a brand new structure called the Dish Harmonizer. This update was received extremely positively because it implied we would most likely be getting a full set of 5 ethereal islets, each centered around one ethereal element. The islets only exist within the mirror timeline, which made them even more interesting lore-wise. In the Plasma Islet trailer, most people assumed it would simply contain monsters from Ethereal Island and Workshop, but instead the monster handler surprised everyone by introducing an entirely new class known as the Primordials, which are based on the original natural elements. Plasma Islet's primordial was Lobe, the plant primordial. As of now, primordials only exist on the ethereal islets, and they essentially act like the unity tree for those islands, since you can only have one active at a time. The next major ethereal release was Mech Islet on June 25th, which had previously been teased through the repeated use of the numbers 621 before its trailer released. Unfortunately, the island's design leaked about a week before launch. Despite all the hype surrounding it, many people disliked Mech Islet when it first released, because of the unusual mixing, awkward volume balancing, and strange animations that players weren't used to at the time. Some of those issues were later adjusted, and nowadays the island is viewed much more positively. Mech Islet's primordial was Bogle, the air primordial. Then on September 3rd, 2025, alongside Anniversary Month, we finally got one of the most anticipated ethereal updates ever, Rare Workshoppers. The first Rare Ethereal Workshop monster released was Rare Meebkin, and people immediately loved the design just as much as its common counterpart. However, many players were disappointed because the update itself added almost nothing else, and people had expected several Rare Workshoppers to release all at once instead of just one. Even now, Rare Workshoppers are still ongoing and will continue releasing over time, and many people already believe Epic Workshoppers could eventually happen as well. Finally, we have the latest major ethereal-related update, Shadow Islet. This island became the most loved ethereal islet immediately after release because of its incredibly unique sound and the genre of the song, with many people saying they had never heard anything like it before in My Singing Monsters. The island had massive hype leading up to release and is now considered by many players to be one of the best islands ever added to the game. Its primordial, Fandhul the Cold Primordial, quickly became the fan favorite primordial because of both its design and contribution to the song. At this point, it's also very likely that Ethereal Gold Island, Crystal Islet, and Poison Islet will eventually release in the future. Epic Workshoppers also seem very possible, and Rare or even Epic Primordials have essentially already been teased. But after all of that, I think the Ethereals may finally be nearing completion. So for now, that's the entire history of the Ethereals explained.